Hey guys, here we are back in the garage, ready to work on the Corvette again. I'd love to be driving it again, but they did just resalt the road, so for now, I guess I just get to keep looking at it. And even though it is tucked in the corner of the garage, I'm still able to access the driver's seat here. So what I'm going to be doing today, or at least what I'm going to get started on today, is reviving the foam that is inside the bottom of the seat. As I mentioned in the video where I did the side bolsters, I was looking for something to make this foam a little less deflated. As you can see, it looks kind of sad. And it didn't take very long to find this kit here. This is from West Coast Corvettes, and it is called the C5 C6 Seat Cushion Repair Kit. And it was only like $42, so probably not a bad buy, especially if it makes the seats feel as good as I hope it does. It has two different matte looking pieces. It's got some foam, some zip ties to replace your hog rings, and also instructions, but who needs those? So the first thing we're going to do is come to the front of the seat, use a screwdriver or something similar to push this pin out. After you get that pin out, you can slide this forward so it can unlatch from the little bracket in front here. And with that removed on the outside, you can go on the inside here, do the exact same thing. With both of those front bolts exposed, I'm gonna go ahead and grab our 14mm socket, wrench, whatever you feel like using, and take both of these front bolts out. Once you get those two nuts in the front off, you can slide the seat forward and remove both of these nuts as well. Once you have all four of them nuts removed, you can pick the seat up so you can access underneath it. You can unplug both of these two connectors. There is an airbag in the seat, so if you don't already have the battery disconnected, you might want to do that. Alright, for this connector right here with the purple tab on it, you want to push up on this corner and down on this corner, and then push up on the purple part, and it will disconnect. And on the other connector, you just push the tab in and slide it out. With those front two connectors undone, you can go a little bit further back and there'll be one more connector. And that one, a little bit harder to get to. It is just clipped up in the seat so you can bring it down so it's manageable to work with. Pull both of these blue connectors out and then pry up on this side. Same on the other side, and you're disconnected. Alright, so with all three of those connectors off, you can unbolt your seatbelt from the chair. This is also a 15mm, just like the front and the back nuts. You can now pick your seat up and get it removed from the car. Best way that I've found to get seats out of these is to take your headrest, pull it out of the car first, and with the headrest out, you can fold it forward a little bit. It'll make it somewhat easier to grab. Then you can reach in, one hand on the inside, one hand on the outside, and pick the seat up out of the car. And with the seat removed now, all you gotta do is find a place to work on it. And while the seat's out, you probably give a deep cleaning to your carpet. This is the first time I've ever had the seat out of the car, at least on the driver's side, and this is really disgusting, so that needs to be fixed. So once you find a spot to put your seat, we got to come over here on what would be the outside of the seat, pry off this guy here. If you have some trim removal tools, this is perfect use for them. If not, you could use a screwdriver. You probably want to wrap it in tape or something to prevent scratching your seat up. Pry that off. There's not a good way to show this being done. This handle is on the seat this direction, little slot in the bottom. So you can take a thin screwdriver, put it in the hole that's on the bottom, and then push those tabs forward, which will release them from the grooves here. And then this handle will just pop right off. Once you have both of those removed, you can take off this Phillips head screw that's inside there. And then this entire plastic piece will pop off. Then you can set that aside with the other pieces. Once that plastic cover is removed, you can take off these three Phillips head screws to get the metal plate out of the way as well. According to the instructions, the next thing you're going to do is flip the seat over, so you're looking at the bottom side of it, and you're going to cut these 3 hog rings. With those 3 hog rings cut, you can flip the material from the back of the seat up and out of the way. So continuing along with the instructions, it wants you to untie this string. It says, do not cut it. Oh, looks like mine's already cut. That's cool. And what this string is for, it goes around the seat there and pulls the front tight. So mine's apparently already broken, but hopefully yours is not. And with that string untied, you can Velcro the back piece here and then flip the seat back up onto the rails. Okay, with your seat back on the rails, you can lift up on the leather here. With a little bit of working it back and forth, you can flip it all the way up and expose the foam and all the wires that have cut through the foam. The instructions have pretty good placements of where you're putting those 2 pieces of foam, where you're putting those 2 pieces of foam, the 2 pads that it came with as well, and all the zip ties. So it should look something like this before you put it back together. The butt part wasn't really the concern I was having, it was the side bolster pieces. So I'm not going to add in this piece under the butt, but I am going to add at least this piece that will prevent the wires from cutting through any further and, you know, eventually probably cutting through the leather. So I have the 2 big blocks on the side, the 2 little blocks underneath them, and this pad here. However you decide to set yours up, you can go ahead and do that and then put the seat back together. So if you didn't buy the kit from West Coast Corvettes, you could use your own foam, I guess, and some sort of sheet here to keep the wires from ripping through the foam. But this kit makes it pretty easy. Everything's pre-cut and fits really well. And now with the seat flipped back over, you can kind of see what's going on here. The 2 pieces that you added are just filling in the void where there was nothing before, making the sides harder. And then this mat here, that is just keeping the butt of the seat a little bit higher by not letting the wires dig in. And then you can re-Velcro your back piece here, retie your string if it isn't ripped. And then you'll have to widen these holes a little bit and put zip ties through them, unless you have actual hog rings. But the kit just came with new zip ties, so that's what I'm gonna do. With the zip ties in place of the hog rings, you can flip your chair back over, reinstall this metal plate, plastic piece that goes over it, and both handles. I haven't come up with anything to replace the string with. I was thinking about trying to feed another string through there, but that seems kind of impossible. So we'll see if this becomes a problem of like the front section of leather like folding off the seat or something. Hopefully it'll be just fine without the string. And now that the seat is all cleaned up, as well as the carpet, finally time to put the seat back in. Everything now is just the opposite of how it came out. Might be a pain, but make sure you snap those blue little locking tabs back into place. And make sure both of these connectors are nice and tight, snapped in place. Grab your seat belt, make sure it is flat, not spun or anything like that. And make sure this little tab here goes into the hole underneath the bolt there. And then you can put the seat back on the studs. With all the foam in place, the seat back in the car, the only thing left to do is use it, sit in it, enjoy it. Hopefully you think yours feels as good as I think mine does. And a little bit of a plot twist for the end of the video here. As you can tell, the mat is no longer underneath the seat here. And the reason that is with this mat in place under the foam, it brought the bottom of the seat up quite a bit. Being 6'2", I was looking out of like the very top of the windshield here. It was very uncomfortable. So in order to look out of the middle of the windshield where I want to, I had to like slouch in the seat or crane my neck down and forward, and it wasn't very good. So with the wires cutting through the foam on just the bottom here, the seat's a little bit lower, way more comfortable to drive. The side pieces are still in their place as they were, and this feels great. So if you're in the 6-foot range or shorter, you probably would love to have that piece in there, and maybe even the other mat that came with it. And if you're any taller than that, you could put the mat in, but maybe cut some of the foam out, or don't buy this kit and just buy some blocks of foam, cut them yourself and make them fit just for the 2 side bolster pieces.